Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk
You should learn something from each and every single round you play.
to fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, I have my good friend John Breake from Birdie Ball. You guys all know Birdie Ball. You've all seen the commercial on YouTube. I know at least 1,000 times, and it's awesome. And it's like the best commercial, like for reals, because like whoever had that idea for that commercial was a genius.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get to that in a second. But before I start, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Really, really fun to finally see you face to face. And I know we've exchanged an email or two. And
this guy's funny, by the way. I just want to let you guys know that. It's really funny.
But we've already.
What's the one thing we have in common?
We have one thing in common. We both went to law school for 2 months.
Then what did I say back to you? You were the smart one.
I was given an ultimatum. I was running an oil and gas supply company back in 1983, and had two daughters, both under 18 months. And
was Amy one of them?
Pardon me?
Was Amy one of them?
Oh, yeah. Yep, Elizabeth and Amy. So you know Amy really well.
I know Amy.
Here. So I was going to night school, and
for law school?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Okay. Yeah, went to night school, like I say, for 2 months. It really isn't a thing in my life, except for it just is something that I thought was funny we had in common for the first 2 months of it, right? But so my boss said, you can either run my company or you can go to law school. And I kind of looked at my two little babies under 18 months, and I said, okay, well, I'll run your company. So, and
really?
It was good. Yeah.
Wow.
He was a really, amazing entrepreneur, and he taught me a lot about, small business and how to grow a business and how to run a business. And so, that was a blessing. I didn't see it at the time. I thought, my success is really a function of, me being, a high-powered lawyer someday. But, it turns out that I had some success, not being a lawyer. So I'm
a little bit.
Yeah.
Make a good commercial. Kidding.
So that commercial. And it's funny because people have said, meet Birdie Ball, because we are just drowning people in it. But, and you said
I'm telling you, I don't ever compliment anybody on a commercial. That was brilliant, like for reals, because it's at least on YouTube, because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And the most brilliant part of it, and it wasn't my idea, but we had a kind of a genius marketing guy in, and he said, why don't you have the Birdie Ball fly into the camera? And we were like, well, because you can't do that. How do you do that? He goes, no, we'll animate it. We'll have the Birdie Ball fly into the camera. And that changed everything, because for the first time ever, people got to see how it worked. Because, heretofore, you're hitting away from the camera, and you know it's doing something neat, but you don't really know what it's doing. And so when you see that it's got reverse spin around a horizontal axis and it flies into the camera, you see, oh, okay, that makes sense. I see how that works now. That it is eating air, it's lifting, it's stopping at the same time, it's getting great elevation. And so that first 5 seconds where the ball comes into the camera. Right. For the first time ever, people knew what a Birdie Ball did. And we just did this. I mean, and that's why we just sit on it right now. It's like, okay, I get it that, 10,000 people have already seen this once, or 100,000 or 1 million or whatever it is. But, I want to get that next guy that doesn't know what it is, because it's a game changer. I mean, it's not just the greatest practice ball that ever happened. It's an alpha product that, will be here forever. That shape, I promise you, will be here forever. The question is, do we own the brand forever? I mean, and that's really that's why we run that commercial so much, is that we want to own that brand forever. Absolutely.
So where are you guys at? Are you guys in Colorado, right?
Yeah, so we are in a beautiful facility here in Evergreen, Colorado. I should probably try to walk you over to the window and show you what I look at. I don't know if it's even possible to do this, but
oh my God,
you guys can't
that's gorgeous.
look out the window here. So this is where we hit birdie balls. Can you see that? I can't see if I'm.
Is that where the commercial was made? Is that the house?
It is, yeah. So we call it the chalet. We're in a 15,000 square foot. It looks like a chalet, but we actually make birdie balls here and putting greens, and this is where we do.
Really?
That's where we do the road game, and we had and that's where the commercial is filmed. Yeah.
Yeah, facing towards the house, right? And you guys are hitting out in that field.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
we are in a beautiful place.
Where's Evergreen at in Colorado?
So we're about 25 miles due west of Denver.
Okay.
So we actually, everybody in the family still lives down in the Denver metro area, and we drive up every day. We do our workforce, we get really from around this area, but the Breaker family drives up.
The Breaker family compound. It's your compound.
It is our compound. Can't believe how blessed we are that we actually get to come here every day and that we pay for the lights.
And be with your family, and you've created an amazing product, plural, because you have two big, I mean,
yes. Thank you.
The Birdie Ball was the first, and then you guys have your greens, which was number two. So let me ask these questions to you. So like, are you a golf professional at all?
Oh God, no. The problem with being in the golf business and having a nice brand and being recognized, and you wear your logo around, and if you happen to go to a golf course, people expect you to be a plus one or something.
Do I suck?
My fraternity brothers will tell you how bad I am. Not bad. Okay, so I still kind of fold under pressure, but as far as ball striking, I'm pretty good. I'm still not the greatest putter in the world, even though you'd think I would be.
What?
Yeah.
What?
In the world.
I know a guy you could talk to about getting a putting green in your house. That's custom.
Yeah, well, done. But not love golf. Play as much as I can. Play with the family, but I've only broken 80 twice in my life. Just that kind of gives you a feel. And those were really big days, and I had to make a 30-foot putt both times in the final hole to get there. So that's me, and and I've been doing it since I was 14, and so. But I went on a golfing trip with my buddies to Whistling Straits a couple of months before they had the Ryder Cup there, and played. I'm going to say great the first day, mid 80s first day, and then we're playing twice a day, and by day 3, I mean I was just, it was everywhere, left, right, and the caddy was like, "Where's that game from day 1?" I was like, "I know, I lost it."
You're like crying.
So
like,
it's
I don't know.
Hard, God, it's so hard. I mean, it's such a hard game.
So did you grow up in Denver area? Are you from Colorado initially?
Denver, yep, and have lived in various places. Lived in Houston for years. I've lived in LA. My in-laws are from New Jersey, so I spent a lot of time in New York. So I'm familiar with the rest of the country, but always come back to Colorado. And
Colorado's beautiful.
It's kind of a secret, but I mean, not anymore. It's just blowing up.
It's like Arizona.
Yeah, and I was I'm a skier, really. Much better skier than I am a golfer, okay? I went to Golden High School. Golden, Colorado is right, at the foothills here. And my senior year of high school, I skied 100 days, just to kind of give you a feel. So, and that was in 1975. So that's a long time ago. But we could literally just get in the car and you're 35 minutes from from Loveland ski area, and we skied 100 days that year. I just remember that. But
so, did you say play golf growing up? I'm assuming everybody else.
Yeah. So
or their mom or somebody.
My dad didn't really introduce it to me. I introduced it to my dad, but a friend of my family introduced it to me when I was 14, and then. I was fortunate enough to play, in the Golden High School golf team, that sort of thing. So I've always kind of been shooting about that same score, kind of a mid 80s guy. And I even did that when I was, in high school. And it's just, parts of my game get better and parts get worse. So, back in the day, I couldn't hit it as well as I can hit it now. And I think that's a birdie ball thing. but I could putt it. I could putt. I could hit it, drop it in from anywhere. Now it's kind of just the opposite. I can get it on the green, and then I've got the yips so bad. I mean, it'll be 4 feet away, and
we all have that.
Oh God, sometimes I can't even pull it back. But I can. I tell you, the run up to that Whistling Straits trip, I spent 5 hours a day on our putting greens, and I did putt better, much better up there. But you got to practice. I mean, and you got to get that muscle memory going. And unfortunately, the older you get, the brain says pull it back, and there's a delay of some sort. So, for all of us that in our mid 60s, you'll understand what that is someday. I don't wish it on anybody though.
After high school, what'd you do? Just go to college, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So, Colorado kid, right? My dad went to the University of Colorado. I went to the University of Colorado. He studied engineering. I studied marketing. And, that's a kind of an interesting segue to the Birdie Ball because, we were having a conversation in 1999. He started playing golf. He had retired. He was the president of a very prestigious general contracting company here in Denver, a company called Gerald H. Phipps, Inc. And Gerald Phipps owned the Broncos, okay, to kind of let you know who Gerald Phipps was.
Holy crap. Yeah. You're talking about real deal stuff.
Jerry owned the Broncos and sold them to Edgar Kaiser, who sold them to the Bolins. Yeah, so I have the Broncos kind of in my DNA as well, but
the Broncos were good.
Back when the Broncos were good, right? They were bad for a lot of years. They did get good, and then I'm a
Bears fan. I've had a good year since 1985. Okay. So
so you're still reminiscing about the really old days,
the good days,
days.
I actually have a Bears jacket that I got when I was in second grade, and then I gave it to my son. He's wearing it around now.
Oh, nice.
It's like an old school 1984, 85. Anyways,
yeah.
So your dad, we were saying.
Yeah, I was at his house. He had retired, and Jerry Phipps had given him a membership to the Denver Country Club as his retirement. And
wow.
And that was again, for those of you who are watching this in Denver, know that that's a prestigious golf course. And another interesting fact is my wife's father-in-law was the director of golf there, before I met her. But Ed, my father-in-law, is a tremendous golfer and men's champion there several times. And, but my dad got a membership there as his retirement, but really wasn't a good golfer and wasn't, he wasn't a real gregarious guy. So kind of hard to meet people. And so the only guy he ever played with at the Denver Country Club really was me. And so he would call me and say,
and you're an invitational person, right? Like, oh, you can come play. Are you a member?
No, I'm not a member. No. They
invited you to come play with them, right? Because you had no
and
friends.
In fact, you could only play as a guest once a month, right? But my brothers really didn't play. I have two brothers who didn't play, and so I would go as me, and then I would go as Billy, and then I would go as Mike.
Oh, hilarious!
Yeah. So if you're hearing this at Denver Country Club, I apologize.
Now you're gonna be blackballed.
I should have. So my dad, he loved the game. He wanted to get better. He was shy, really. He never. If we went to the Denver Country Club, he didn't ever want to be with another twosome. He would, say, no, just you and me, just you and me. And, but it was great. And my dad and I started to really get close really for the first time in our lives. Right. I mean, cause he just was a workaholic and, it's kind of that field of dreams thing where all of us, really anybody with a dad, and that's everybody, right?
No, really.
Watch the Field of Dreams and do that. Let's go have a toss and just go, oh my God.
Go hit a bucket.
And just the tears, right? So that was kind of our connection was not great. And then golf helped us get that connection. So much so that, again, in 1999, and he had been retired for several years, we were over at his house watching the Masters. And they were saying they're going to have to lengthen, Augusta National to contain Tiger Woods. I mean, this young phenom is coming, and he's killing, he's just killing the course, and they're going to have to make these holes longer to contain him. And it was really weird. We both kind of looked at each other at the same time. We were like, okay, that's how magical Augusta is. They could just snap their fingers and make more real estate. It's, so, but then you start to understand kind of the constraint, right? Which is, you can't make golf courses bigger, really. I mean, at the end of the day, they're constrained by, roads and property lines.
Where they're at. Yeah, now they're all surrounded by, they're not by themselves in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because, and this is like Nicholas made the point, right? Which is the golf ball will ultimately kill the game. Or, I mean, this may be not a direct quote, but I mean, he made a comment about the golf ball going too far. Okay. And if the golf ball goes too far, then the golf courses just have to get bigger. And if the golf courses get bigger, then that's more real estate. And if you have more real estate, then you have to pay more taxes, and you got to spend more fertilizer, and you got to water it and mow it. And the bigger it is, the more expensive it is to maintain. And so the further the golf ball goes, the further golf will get away from the average person being able to play it. And I think that was theoretically where he was going. And so my dad and I both thought, well, we had to try to figure out how to limit the flight of a golf ball. How would you do that? I mean, if your mission was to limit the flight of a golf ball, what would your approach be, right? And I think I mentioned, that I worked for this guy who was a great entrepreneur. Well, one of the things that he did was he was one of the inventors of Teflon. So he was in a team of people at DuPont that helped invent Teflon. And so I learned a lot about plastics, okay, because Teflon is one of the kings of plastics. I mean, if you can, it's a sort of a Pareto list of, they only get less technical from Teflon. And so, I learned a lot about plastic, what plastic can do, the applications, strengths, weaknesses, the places you use different plastics. And so we decided we were going to drill holes in golf balls. So we actually drilled a 5/8 inch hole in about 30 or 40 different golf ball brands. And the reason was that we were going to analyze the polybutadiene core and see what really does create the hysteresis of the rebound and the coefficient of restitution, and what is the trick to making all that happen. And I had some people that were going to run some mass spectroscope, if you
math
say the word, to tell me what it was all about. And we thought that was a fun thing to try, but it was going to be about $5,000, and we decided, well, you know what, that was a nice conversation, but we're not going to go down that runway. That was stupid. So I went to go throw the balls away, right? So I had about 40 balls with a hole in the middle of them. And, they were in a bucket in the garage, and it's probably a year later. There's not a guy in the world that can throw a bucket of golf balls in the trash can, because what you have to do is hit them. And I had an open space behind me, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go hit these into the open space. I mean, that's 40, good swings out of a golf club, and I don't need to see these things anymore. So I went out in the backyard and dropped one down, and it was kind of oriented left to right with the hole, and I hit it, and it literally took a left-hand turn into my neighbor's yard. And I was like, oh shit, sorry, So threw the next one down, and it kind of went, right to left over the fence, into the open space, and I'm like, okay, that's two swings, two completely different results. I mean, what's going on here? And put one hole up, right? So then I put it hole up, and it hit a nice high, right to left draw. And I'm thinking, I just nutted that thing all the way into the middle of the open space, and it falls short of my fence. I was like, wow, that was interesting. And then went through the rest of the 40 balls, and but said, there's something there. And there, didn't know exactly what it was, but it was like, there's something going on there. What is that? Everybody knows now that a golf ball, in order to get up in the air, has reverse spin around a horizontal axis. I mean, it flies through the air like this. And, we create air pressure by the, difference in the aerodynamics of the air going over the dimple of the ball on one side versus the other to create lift. So everybody knows that now. And in fact, that's how all launch monitors work, right? They measure spin off of the face of the golf club. And, everybody knows now that every golf ball that's ever gotten off the ground in the history of the world has reverse spin around a horizontal axis. So it's flying like this, right? It's flying just with backspin. Every ball has backspin. And, it's not left to right spin that makes a golf ball draw and fade. It's left to right tilt. So the ball just tilts off its horizontal axis one way or the other. And we learned that, by going to the library, all right? Because, we didn't have Google. This is, 2004. I mean, it was there, but I don't think we knew how to get there, right? So, Google, 2002. So 2002, Google may not have been there, but at any rate, we went to the library and we, bought a book on how golf balls fly, or checked one out. And, it described, the gutta percha and the leathery and the da-da-da. But it had this description of how they fly, and they all have reverse spin around a horizontal axis. So to us, that was a revolution, and a revelation, I should say. So that's what the Birdie Ball does, right? So in its rawest form, how do you make something go as short as is possible? And so that's what this design does. It allows you to compress it. So we compress it, and it compresses the lower part of the ball more than the top part of the ball because of the loft of the club face. The club face compresses this lower quadrille more than the upper quadrille. So as it compresses, which throws it into a very high rate of reverse spin. So that's what you hear when you compress a Birdie Ball. You hear this, you feel the impact, you feel it heavy on your hands because it's in its non-aerodynamic shape when you compress it. And then it's thrown into this high rate of reverse spin as it leaves the club. And you'll hear it, right? I mean, you hear that, this fun zip sound.
The high pitch, like
that high
the
pitch
whir or the whine
that's
or whatever.
Roaring through the air, so this is lift, and this is stop, and it does that with really about the same ball speed as a golf ball, which can be 4 to 8,000 RPM, and then the axis, if you leave your club face open, it's tilted a little bit, which makes it leak or fade, and if you get it over closed, it makes it draw. That club face at impact is the all important thing, and just like your club face at impact is the all-important thing with the golf ball. But moreover, what makes us so great for learners is that because we have a flat bottom, you learn not to try to cast your club under the ball, okay? So everybody, beginners think, that the golf club goes under the golf ball. They don't, when they see the divot, and it'll be a beaver pelt divot, that somebody takes. If somebody hasn't had this explained to them, they think that the golf club went, that part of that divot was under the golf ball, that some of that divot must have been under the golf ball, when in reality, none of that divot was under the golf ball. That all of that divot happens after the golf ball. Okay, so the golf ball is gone when the divot happens. And the same is true. So the Birdie Ball accentuates that. So your brain says, well, there's no bottom, so I'm going to compress the side of the Birdie Ball, and that's exactly what you do with the golf ball. You compress the side of a golf ball below the equator, and with really all of your irons, your hands are slightly in front of the ball at impact, right? So and when you see a pro hit a golf ball, that's pronounced. So they'll take, one of the reasons they hit so much further than an average golfer with a 7-iron is that they turn the 7-iron into a 5-iron in terms of its loft, because they have de-lofted the club so much to make a descending blow on that ball so that they hit, the big ball second, that being the earth. It happens sort of naturally with this. You learn that in order to compress that, you have to push your hands slightly in front of the ball, which gives you the ability to compress that cylinder properly. And it's one of the great things about us growing the game. We partnered years ago with the PGA on their golf and schools programs, and we're in thousands of high schools now all over the country, and have done a lot on our own part, I guess, a little bit to grow the game. We'll take a little credit for growing the game. COVID can take a big credit for growing the game, and we'll take a little baby credit for growing the game. But in 1999,
around that time frame, you and your dad have this idea, like, we should try. When you were talking about making a new ball, you weren't trying to make a ball you could practice with. You were making a ball that you could possibly not hit as far, right?
Right. So we were thinking it would be a tour like ball. Like, these guys are going to ruin golf courses. We need to have them all play the same ball so that we don't have to lengthen golf courses anymore. But we're gonna make
play a harder ball. It's a harder ball to play, essentially.
A shorter ball. Yeah, a shorter ball. Yeah.
But then you like stumble on the opposite side. Like, oh my God, we made a ball that could be used as a training aid that won't go as far. So you're not going to be like hitting it over your neighbor's yard or whatever.
Right.
So then how did you come up with the idea? Like what, not with what you're saying before, but like the actual design.
Right. So I had access to a machine shop, and we had the ability to take billets of material and start making shapes, and what is the most optimum shape? And we have 2 years of shapes, right? So 1999 was kind of the conversation. The ball stayed in the bucket for a while, and then we kind of came back to it, and I'm going to say that's 2000, 2001ish, and then I'm going to say late 2002 we sort of had locked in on this, and primarily because it's the perfect marriage of shape and polymer. And my like we talked about, my background is plastics, and this plastic is the result of years and years of understanding plastics.
So like if you had not worked in plastics and not had like those earlier interactions in your life,
you would have never gotten there.
Never been able to design that.
Never gotten there because, and this is we have some people that have tried to do Birdie Ball hack, which is make this out of PVC pipe. And just note to everybody out there, do not do that, because that's just shrapnel in your face. And we don't want you to have shrapnel in your face. So don't hack that. That's just dangerous. So it's not just the shape, but it's the polymer that makes it work.
And how strong is the Birdie Ball? Is it super strong?
Yeah. So super strong, it would be an understatement. But if you see it in slow motion, and let's just say somebody with 120 mile an hour swing, in slow motion, that diameter gets compressed almost in half. Okay, so in slow motion, you see it turn flat. You see it literally lay up against the face of the club, and then you see it explode away. So this is one of the attributes of the Birdie Ball that's so remarkable, which is on a launch monitor, it has close to the same ball speed leaving the face of the club as a golf ball. And that's why it's so rewarding when you do it, okay? Because your brain actually appreciates that. It's like, it was there and then it was gone, just like a golf ball. And we've all had that moment hitting a golf ball where you just feel like you didn't feel anything. And that's that just perfect compression and rebound as it leaves the club face. And this, so the ball speed is so rewarding, and that's why it makes that jet sound, but it's trying to stop the minute it leaves. Okay. So a foot, away
drag.
From yeah. So just they won't work on launch monitors because they start slowing down so fast. You
get the initial strike, and then it starts slowing down almost instantaneously.
And then you see it hover. Okay, so it there's a point at which it just hangs in the air for a minute, and then it falls to the ground. Right, so it's in the air over that flight distance longer than a golf ball. Right, so for the equivalent ball flight, a Birdie Ball hangs in the air incrementally longer, but it's satisfying, right? So we just showed you the backyard here. In the summer, we have a contest every Friday night, and the whole neighborhood comes over, and we play a thing called the road game. And the road game is basically a grid that has an 8-yard by 8-yard box stacked up, 5 of them. And the first one's 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 40 points, 50 points. And we have this on an iPad where we load up the iPad. You hit 3 balls is equivalent to 1 hole. We play 9 holes, so you play 27 shots. And those 27 shots go in that grid somewhere. But you either have to hit the grid or to score points. And this is going to sound crazy, but there are some afternoons where a foursome may only get it in the grid between them, 15 times. It's crazy. Like it's a function of reward, right? So at 50 yards out, and birdie balls travel, 40 to 60 yards, depending on, your swing speed. But at 50 yards out, in that 16 square yards, if you will, hitting it is a challenge. And it's wind, it's club face, it's tilt on the ball, but it's not a joke, right? If you are a good ball striker, you just can't not do it. And it's so subtle that your ball striking just becomes amazing. And you start to see it in slow motion. I mean, you actually, if you hit enough birdie balls like I have, you actually start to see the club face compress the golf ball. And I don't know what that is.
I didn't know anything about that. That's so funny because you're telling me how balls work. Like I've seen slow motion video of Titleist hitting a ball or whatever, but I didn't really realize the force and the aerodynamics of what's really happening. Because as a golfer, you think, oh, I hit the ball, it goes up in the air because I hit it fast and it scooped it, but it has nothing to do with any of that.
It changes the shape. Golf ball is not even close to being round if you're hitting it right when you hit it. I think there's a multi-million view of somebody shooting a golf ball out of an air gun or something, and I don't know what the ball speed is coming out of it, but they're showing it hit an aluminum plate, and it literally turns it into an egg, right? And then it comes back and rebounds off of it. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so it's slow motion, but yes. So you asked the question about durability. So the polymer has to be able to survive that, right, over and over and over without a core, and that's a challenge.
Oh, I bet.
Because the thing that gives the ball its strength is the core. And so we create the strength. And there are a couple of trade secrets and one not obvious at all. And I can't show you what it is, but the polymer is one of those secrets. And the other is the other secret.
The other one that I tell you, I have to kill you. So I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
What year did Birdie Ball come out? Because didn't you guys get Best in Show or something like that?
Dude, I'm so glad you asked. I've never done this before, but I was cleaning my office, so I brought it out. Okay, there's our 2005 Best.
That is a big deal. That really is. I think people don't understand. If you're not in the industry and you don't have a brand, that's a huge deal. That
it is a huge deal. It is.
It opens the doors. Essentially, it's saying you are welcome, and we're going to. And now you have this stamp of approval, but more than a stamp of approval. It's almost like when you get that, you've done it. I mean, that's what everyone's vying for, right? Essentially, when they go to the PGA show.
Honestly, we had gone to the PGA. So, that's 2002-ish. We start to do the patents. And then 2003, we formed a company and we opened a store first, right? Okay, so we opened a store at the Colorado Mills here in Colorado. That was serendipitous because I opened a kiosk, right? So I couldn't afford a store, or I didn't think I could afford a store. But, a kiosk was like $1,500 a month. And then 10% of your sales over $15,000, given, okay, so that's essentially, basically you're paying 10% rent on your kiosk. And I had just opened my kiosk day one, and I had the birdie balls in onion bags. I had them they were machined, by the way. They weren't molded. I mean, they're molded now, but we machined them out of solid billets of material. Okay, solid billets. Yeah, so each one was made, as from a machine. That we would bore it out, and then we would final machine it, and then we part it off and deburr it.
That's a lot of work.
Lot of work, but you
probably sold them for $1,000 each.
Well, they were expensive. I guarantee we didn't make any money on them, and the reason, but you have to prove that they work, right? I mean, you don't want to sink a couple of $100,000 into a tool if it isn't going to work, right? So. Let's make expensive birdie balls and see if they sell. And if they sell, then, we'll
retool and we'll figure out how to make this at scale.
Yeah. So we made them all by hand, if you will. But, they were in onion bags kind of hanging on the kiosk. And it wasn't my proudest moment, honestly.
But you did it. Who cares? That's the first step.
Yeah, and so and we had a little thing called what I think is almost equally good an invention is the strike pad, which is that's a cambered polymer pad that we hit birdie balls off of, and and I was forming those in my oven at home. And so we had a white strike pad and white birdie balls, neither one of them logoed. And I had contracted with a box making company here in Denver to give me a nice box that 16 birdie balls would go into and a strike pad. And so we had those stacked up on the kiosk, and we had, this onion bag looking thing hanging off the kiosk. And the general manager of the mall came by and he said, "How you doing?" I said, fine, probably going to be doing this for a month and then I'm probably out of here. And he goes, "You know what?" He said, people should try those. I mean, that's a pure demonstration product. I mean, you're not going to sell them just sitting on your butt, in a kiosk. And, I don't care. We had an animation. And again, same problem. Animation, even the animation flew away from, ball strike flew away. It's like, what is that doing? Which is getting back to how genius that fly into the camera is. So genius. But
Seriously, it was.
The guy said, "Okay, listen, I'm having a hard time getting some of these stores leased." It was brand new. It was brand new mall, Colorado Mills. And how about if I give you this 3,000 square foot store that you're in front of that was empty for the same price as your kiosk and same deal as your kiosk, and I will put a putting green in there and I'll put the nets in and we'll put some graphics up because I need traffic and I need an interactive experience here at the mall. And I was like,
seriously? I just walked into this?
Yeah. And he and I had, we got to be really good friends, but he did that for me. And it was about a $30,000 build out.
Oh my
God. And he thought enough of the product, and I had given him some to take home and hit. And he was like, "You got to demonstrate that. I mean, people have to hit that." And so he put 3 bays in, and we started selling birdie balls out of that store. And long story short, we couldn't make them fast enough. I mean, truly, because we were making them
by hand.
We were making them by hand
forever.
Right? So we made them by hand for about a year, and we were probably losing money on every single one of them. But we were proving that people liked it and that people were glued to it and that people were just amazed by it. And we got all of that back and knew that, we had something here. And, so we were a year or so in the store, and then we went to the, this 2005 PGA Merchandise Show, that one. They had just started a thing called Demo Day.
It's huge now. It's one of the biggest days there.
Huge. It was brand new concept, so they started that. And we held court. I mean, we were standing room only. I mean, we brought 3,000 or 4,000 birdie balls, and we had a little target set up. We didn't even have our targeting. We had hula hoops and that kind of thing. And actually, I just remembered one of our targets. We went to Home Depot and we bought a water fountain that had a little boy peeing in the water as a kind of, let's see if you can hit it in that, right? And I remember
it worked.
So came to me and they were like, this is unbelievable, like the amount of traffic you have, but can you cover up the kid that's peeing? And because it was literally one of these reciprocating, water fountains that was just, we filled it with water, and it was a battery driven, God, it was, yeah. So we took the kid down. We couldn't have him go into the bathroom in the water anymore. But that was what people were shooting at, and it was. I was on the Golf Channel, with Adam. Gosh, Adam, he was a pioneer in the TV golf business. Adam, I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah, I
know. The world beat a path to our door. Every retailer put it in, and you'd say, "Oh, well, that's the end of the story," and that must have really turned out well. Well, the truth is that it didn't turn out well because we just said it's a pure demonstration product, right? So the retailers that put it in all called back 6 months later and wanted to send it back because it wasn't selling on the shelves. And smartly packaged. I mean, the packaging really hasn't changed much in the years. I mean, this is what a dozen birdie balls comes like, and it's got a nice box and kind of looks like a dozen golf balls, and it tells a little bit of the story on the back of it. But but nobody can understand or could at the time understand how that worked. And Sports Authority showed me a video of somebody checking out, and they were asking the checkout person, how this worked. You could see him going, is this any good? And you can kind of see the checkout person going, I have no idea. And and the guy took him back and put him, like he left and then came back and he didn't have them anymore. So they were like, that's why, see, and they were right. I mean, the reality is, that was up to us, to communicate how that worked. And so we're going to go back to this commercial, which is for the first time ever, people now see how it works. And we're blowing up, right? And now Dick's has them in. And why? Because people know what they are when they walk in the store. And why is that? Because
that commercial.
Because they were bombing the internet with the commercial. That's why. And I'm sorry if you get
brilliant, genius. Okay, so like in 2005, you go to the PGA show. What award is that one? Is that best new product? What is it?
Yeah, best new product. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I figured. So like that opens doors to all the retailers, right? Because they're like, oh, it's best new product. It's excellent for marketing purposes because you've got the seal of approval.
Yeah, we even have it. There it is. There it is on the box.
That's a big deal. Like usually, whoever gets best new product is going to be around for a long time. I mean, generally, you would generally think so, but I'm going to tell you that if over the last 18 years, we went to the PGA show, for 15 of the last 18 years. We haven't gotten a lot out of it in recent years, so we kind of stopped going. But I've forgotten the last 15 new product winners, to be honest with you. It is a initial boon, and then if you don't have any follow up,
gravity, then you're screwed. Because
like that boon only lasts for like a couple months.
It really does.
Right?
I mean, it's not you might get a few articles written about you, and
but you get those anyways.
Which is super good. But at the end of the day, best new product is initially good, but very few products, make it.
Go to the level of Birdie Ball.
God, and honestly, alpha products, and those are the things that we're proudest of, is that, this is off a clean sheet of paper. Find me something in the golf business that looked like that the day before that looked like that.
Nothing.
No. Okay. This isn't a derivative of a ball. It's not even a derivative of a ball. It is its own thing. And golf doesn't have those things very often. I can't say, I can't come up with many off the top of my head. It's a derivative of a golf club. It's a derivative of a putter. It's a derivative of a golf bag, golf hat, golf shoes. They're improved, but they're not alpha. They're not. It started here. I'm going to say we're proudest of that for that reason, and we're also proudest of that for our putting greens, because our putting greens are also an alpha. They're the only foam-derived putting green in the world. They are most like a natural putting green in the sense that when you step onto a natural putting green, your footprint will be noticed. That's why we don't step in people's lines. The golf ball rides on that spongy subbase. And so if you don't have a putting green with a spongy subbase, you don't have anything. Our putting greens start with that fundamental principle. It gives us the ability, because they are thick, to not have to go up a ramp, a contrived ramp, to go uphill, have it fall into a hole. And then we create this grass-like surface out of rupturing a bubble that we create in the foaming process to create this grass-like knob or nodule. And that grass-like blade is oriented at an angle just like a natural fiber, so that we have down grain where the fiber falls over as the ball rolls over it, and into the grain where the fiber stands up as you roll into it. Both alpha products, both green, both literally white sheets of paper. That's our fundamental principle here. If we copy anybody in any way, shape, or form, we just tear it up and throw it in the trash can. We don't want to be that. Now, the challenges with that are that we have to educate the consumer from the get-go. And so,
Which you learned from BirdieBall.
which we learned from BirdieBall, right?
Like that
Right,
was a
right.
good, that was the learning, because once you learn that, you're like, you have a really great product, but no one knows how to use it.
Right.
Then now it's like, that's the other half of the coin, right?
Yep.
Like, it's like, okay, well, how is it used?
Yeah. How do you use that? The same is sort of true with the putting greens, is that, we can't sell them through the mass merchandisers because,
Possible.
well, first of all, we make them any size you want. So size is an issue. And so, we ship refrigerator boxes out of here, but people aren't used to seeing that product. They are used to seeing turf, or they're used to seeing felt, or they're used to seeing woven synthetic carpet-like material. But, a spongy, material that's like a natural putting green that has, these fibrils but truest rolling putting green on the planet. And it's for all of the engineering reasons behind it. We can make them dead flat. We roll them dead flat. So when you see, a PGA Tour getting ready for the guys to come through that morning, they'll roll the putting greens flat. And that doesn't have anything to do with the grass. It has to do with the spongy subbase. They're literally flattening the spongy subbase of that putting green, so the ball will ride on that spongy subbase perfectly. The grass changes the speed. And that's why you walk up to a putting green, you look, is it shiny? Okay, shiny. That putt is good. And if you can tell, where they're going, straight down grain, whether you're going into the grain, if you're seeing a darker green walking up to the green, okay, and you're below, and your putt is below the hole, you'll be going into the grain. So you start to learn those kind of things. When
did you start coming up with the idea for the putting green?
Right. So that was sort of a necessity. We were a really early adopter to Google. I mean, having said, I couldn't find the stuff on Google. We didn't, after we, I'm going to say, failed at retail and everybody sent all their stuff back, we still had the store.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that. I thought they were going to do it.
Yeah. We were essentially good night nurse. I mean, it was like, okay,
oh my gosh, I know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The people, if the stuff sits on the shelf, they send it back to you. I mean, that's so, I guess you could not take it back if you were out of business, but we accepted it back. All right. Well, this is still a great product. It just requires demonstrating it. What are we going to do? Well, we kept the store. We did fantastic out of the store, but we decided to launch a splash page that did have a nice animation and a nice shopping cart. Again, remember, this is 2005. The internet isn't what it is. We started, I had the guy who created the splash page tell me, oh, you got to look into this thing called Google. You can buy ads. And so people are searching for the stuff you're doing, and they'll come into your website. I mean, that's how you're going to drive traffic. Sure enough, we started doing Google pay-per-click. And Google pay-per-click at the time, wasn't super popular. So, we could buy a click, on golf training aid, because again, remember, people aren't looking for the word birdie ball. I mean, we got to get them to our site. How do we get them to the site? Well,
how do you exist?
How do I exist? How do I exist? So we literally, if it had anything to do with golf, we bought a click on it. Golf training aids, golf practice, golf instruction, anything. If golf was in the word, we bid to be seen. And again, but the clicks were cheap, right? So the clicks are a nickel.
Back then.
Yeah, back then.
Expensive as hell.
So you could afford to not have a very high conversion rate, right? So you could throw it out there, and we're selling these for $19.99 or whatever we were selling them for back then. We started to, okay, sold one. Okay, so people were like, okay, take a risk. That looks kind of interesting. Not a terrible landing page, communicating it.
It's an accessory.
Yeah.
It's easy to buy. The price is right.
So we start growing on Google, and that was our business, and we sold direct to consumer. And I just mentioned that we got these back from the retailer. One of the really great things about BirdieBall is that in our 19 years of existence, 19 years selling this, we've only had literally about a dozen returns. I mean, wrap your mind around that.
Insane.
like it does. Like, and
You probably sold like 1 million birdie balls at this
well,
point.
we've sold many, many millions of birdie balls, and you do the math on that, and it might be the least returned product in the history of the world. I mean, it's up there. I mean, it's nobody returns birdie balls, and the reason is because they exceed your expectations. So again, once you've done it, once you've experienced it, once you've hit them, you just can't believe it. Very many. I don't know. I don't want to exaggerate to the point of ridiculous, but it's so low that it doesn't even measure, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So we started to sell them, and then word of mouth, and nice stories, and Newsweek did a story, and Business Week, and we were in the Wall Street Journal and USA Today, and Were we in the Journal? I'm not sure if we were in the Journal. Maybe we were in the Journal, but we were at USA Today. And some nice words, and then we start growing the game in schools, and the PGA starts putting it in this golf in schools program, and we're doing pretty well. But you ask the question, what made you get into putting greens? Well, over time, that click went from a nickel to $5. Okay, so to pay to be in the top 3 golf training aids right now, you're going to pay about $5. Okay, so if you're selling a product for $20, you literally have to close everybody that clicks on that, okay? Because that's $5.
Yeah, after 4 clicks, you break even, and Google made all the money.
You're done. Even though it's a great product, and let's just say you're at some ridiculous conversion rate on that, at a $5 click, you're out of business again. And so we literally sat down and said, we need a $200 product. And it really is a function of the sales price, because I just noticed the people
more wiggle room.
In the training aid space that were kicking my butt, they were selling $200 things, and they could afford, to get 10 clicks.
A 20% conversion rate or something. Yeah,
so we need to get there, and so that was the impetus for, and it was like I noticed these putting greens, and it's like, that's crap. What, you roll it out and you go uphill? I don't even get that. I mean, why would I go uphill? I need to know what my speed is. So we just started to brainstorm. And
so what year was that?
So we've been doing that about 10 years. So 12 or 13 is when we started doing that. So we've been doing putting greens for about 10 years. And we think we're, it's hard to know, but we're in the top 1 or 2 or 3 in the world doing it. And I don't know exactly what everybody's numbers are, but we're right in there, and improving and getting better every day, and building factories, and employing people, and
where are the greens made?
We make them here in Evergreen as well, not in this building, but I have a building about a half a mile up the street that is it's more a warehouse looking building, but it serves the purpose. Yeah.
And then what's cool about the putting greens, what I like about it, is like you have all those like added features, I guess. You could,
yes. The shim contours, the shimming, I mean, it's unbelievable. So I was at the Denver Golf Expo, and it's really something we don't talk enough about, is just your ability to shim this in unlimited number of ways, right? So we sell you a shim kit, and you can use a magazine or, really anything.
A book or whatever you want.
Book, and create a nice lofted contour, because the green is thick enough that it creates that nice lofted contour, and so you've got an unlimited number of putts to try if you get sick of just putting in a straight line. But all putts are essentially a straight line anyway. It's what it does after it leaves the putter face, right? So is it straight? Yeah.
When you came out with the putting green, what was the initial response? Was it like another thing you had to kind of explain, like this is not a normal putting green like the crappy one you get on Amazon?
So crazily, again, and I guess this is my advice to entrepreneurs is, make sure you have a customer, make sure you have a market, make sure you have a product, and you're going to have to do
make sure you have a margin, right? Because
thank you. Make sure you have a margin. And
because you got to be able to do all that other stuff and still make money.
Yes. So going back to kind of the polymer experiences, I knew where I could source some of this material in a low enough volume and do our process to it, which is it's a multi-step process to treat the surface. And we didn't come up with that overnight. I mean, that took us some time too, but we knew we needed to have an aerated polymer material that would expand and allow us to create this grass-like surface. And so I could buy it in a small enough batch quantity to try it, but I couldn't get the color. So the very first ever Birdie Ball putting greens were blue. And
Really?
Yep, because I couldn't get it green. I couldn't buy enough of the polymer for them to give it to me green. And so we had to experiment with the product blue, and we put it up online blue. And when we sold out of our first 50 blue in one day, I was like, okay, we might have something there. Okay.
That's blue.
If we make it green, hell, maybe we'll sell some more of them. And sure enough, we've sold more of them. So,
Well, then you guys took it to another level too, because then you can custom print the green too if somebody wants to custom print it, which is cool. It's not just there. And
and we're ratcheting that game up. We just invested in some technology that's going to allow us to put inset logos. Okay, so we'll be able to have a logo that will last forever. So one of the things that when you print on something, you walk across it enough and it starts to fade, right? So this would be, so we're trying to create some extra durability, but they will be inlay. We'll actually have inlaid logo. And it may not be right in the middle of the putting green, but we'll be able to do it in places where the ball really doesn't roll that predominantly, but it'll be permanent.
So what's like the biggest putting green you guys make? How big is that?
Right. So we could make you, if you were going to come pick it up, we could make you a 125 foot long putting green, 8 feet wide by 125 feet long. If you wanted to come up to Evergreen, or you could have
Picked it up. That's
but
big
in
ass
terms
box.
in terms of our shipping capability, it's 30 feet. 30 feet is the maximum. We can roll up into a box to make it go into something that we can ship. So, but 30 feet.
So when it comes out, when you guys make it, like I'm assuming you probably have it comes out in big rolls, right? And then you just cut it down to.
We process it in long rolls, yes, and then we cut it. It's like Burger King. How do you want it? And so you go to our site, and it's the Green Builder. And you specify first the width, then you specify the length, then you specify the hole configurations, then you specify bumper configuration, and then you specify the speed. And so every day, we have a whole, every green we make is different than the greens we made the day before. And, when you walk into our facility, production facility, there's a board that tells us, how many this width, how many this length, how many with this whole configuration, how they look. It looks like, you're ordering fast food, and then that's what we produce. And so now when we produce it, we're producing it, in the right size, length, hole. So, we essentially have no inventory of putting greens. They essentially are all built.
They're all custom
for that day. Yep.
Right. They're custom for whatever the order it comes in.
Yep. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy though. You went from birdie balls, right, to putting greens. Is there anything are you guys work on anything new, or is that like your bread and butter?
Well, yes. Okay. So the biggest dream, and it's been the dream really since the beginning, and it's just, time and money, right, is the only reason we haven't executed this dream. But we've always wanted Birdie Ball place, right? A place to do Birdie Ball. And
like an event, right? Not an event, but you know what I mean? Like a place to go do it.
Right. So literally the entertainment component. And again, kind of going back to how fun this really is to do and how sticky it is for people when they're doing it. We just know it works. And, I was fortunate enough to meet the guys at Topgolf before it was Topgolf. I met them in 2010 at the PGA Merchandise Show, and we had a conversation about Birdie Ball being a fallback position if they didn't get their big Topgolf built. And, it sounded great. And, long story short, they never needed us because they.
What, really?
Yeah. It turns out they didn't need Birdie Ball. but sounded like a great idea. RFID chip and a golf ball, and it measures the targeting, and kind of a fun concept. But we had a Birdie Ball concept like that, and their success has only buttressed my belief that a boutique-y, and I'm gonna say boutique-y Topgolf would be amazing. And
well, like Tiger Woods has that, like he's opening up that thing in Scottsdale, like the Mitchell Golf Place.
Well,
right?
yeah,
like
it's called Boom Putt or something, Zoom Putt or.
And there's that place is there a place in Vegas or somewhere?
Yeah,
in California,
and they're growing like leaps and bounds, and so, it's one of those. Gosh, I should have done it 19 years ago. 15 years.
No, you shouldn't have. You built it.
Yeah. So, but I'm having conversation with some very meaningful people, and I'm praying that we can. I'm praying we can get a place. So, Birdie, and maybe a little more focused for family, less expensive. Like I say, smaller, maybe 50.
Now's the time, right? Because there's so many new golfers coming to the market.
Yes.
It's like if. I don't know. We went to Topgolf on Sunday, my family, and it was packed, man. It was packed every bay.
Yeah. I mean, we partner with the Corn Ferry Tour on a couple of their premium events, one in Savannah and one here in Colorado, the Colorado Championships, and we'll take Birdie Ball and have a family fun area, and we'll take I don't know if you've seen our inflatable animals and things that will blow up. But we have hippopotamuses and alligators and sharks and golf gorillas and dinosaurs, and we put you're hitting birdie balls at them, and it's actually standing room only. I mean, you can't and then we have an adult area where we play the road game and we raise money for charity. But the entertainment piece is so sticky.
Have it. You're so close. It's more than a training aid. It's more than that.
Yeah, we need the liquor license, we need the food, we need the space, and we need the creativity.
Well, look at brands like X Golf, right? I don't know who X Golf is, but they're building, it's franchised out sim places that are with liquor and all food. It's like they're popping up everywhere. It's like people want to have fun.
I love this new generation because they aren't thing oriented; they're experience oriented. What they want is memories. And they understand after seeing their parents, slave over things their whole life and not have any good memories, that memories are everything. And, and I am learning that. And I think that place to create memories and fun and spend your money on things you're going to remember, not things you're going to, that are going to rot. So I am all about that. So we're committed to it. Cool. Where, when, how, I don't know, but I've been saying it for a little while now, and people are probably getting sick of me saying I'm going to do it, but I am going to do it.
It's because
that's the next thing.
You want to do it. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, look at the fun you guys have out in the yard out front, right? You guys are like, I mean,
if you're ever in Evergreen on a Friday afternoon, stop by because there's usually a party going on in the back deck, and we're wagering $1. $1 a round. So it's not.
I want to be in the next Birdie Ball commercial.
The ideas, please. I'd love for people to send me ideas.
Well, anyways, I don't know if John's coming back, and I might have lost him on the signal, but you guys need to check out Birdie Ball. It is one of the coolest training aids out there. He's been around for 15 years, or actually 17 years. I have some Birdie Balls that I've been using. He sent me a couple years ago. They're great. The other thing too is a putting green. I still have my putting green. They sent me one about 2 years ago. The customability you can do with it is really cool. So you definitely need to check that out as well. I love my putting green. You guys need to check out Birdie Ball on their website. It's BirdieBall.com. I hope to see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're going to beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.